Welcome to Unfamiliar Territory, an anime podcast hosted by two white dudes who've been friends for over 15 years. We talk about the history and influence of anime, as well as review anime new and old, believe in the stars, and sail away for the future into unfamiliar territory.
My name is Grant.
And I'm Brantley. Heads up, spoilers on the way. Check the description, see if you're safe to listen.
Do you ever think of iCarly when we start recording?
Not really, because I just leave it all to you, so...
Song's a jam.
I don't remember the rest of the iCarly lyrics because all it's coming up is Drake and Josh. This is an anime podcast. Hi, welcome. I'd like to talk to you all about confusion. You see, today we're covering Gibiate, or that's what you'd think it'd be called, but it's not. It's called Gibiate. And I don't know why. So if you look at the Japanese characters for this, believe me, I have almost a 500-day streak on Duolingo, so that means I know a thing or two about Japanese.
Powerful.
If you just look at the Japanese characters, Gibiate is how it's spelled, basically. But how that romanizes, it would best be pronounced as Gibiate or Gibiate. I'm going to break it down on how little this makes sense and how angry this makes me at the very beginning. So, jib is fine. Giblet works in English. Probably would prefer a J, but whatever. Jib will translate okay, right? G-I-N-B will work here. GBA, that's not right. In English, that would turn to Gibia, like Activia. That A is going to make that sound. But what frustrates me is that the A doesn't make that sound in Japanese either. A, as in the letter A, as in hay as for horses, never turns out to sound like A unless you are pairing it with like a Y or something like that. And it doesn't work like that in Japanese either, because the A that we have turns into A, like katana. So GBA literally doesn't translate properly in either Japanese or English. And if you look at like the Japanese characters, they're using GBA as in like an E sound is what would that usually be like translated to. Like those are the hiragana and katakana that are being used. It's e, it's e. And then it ends on to, which is not te. And te will never sound like to in English. It will never sound like that in the Japanese return to the. So I don't know who decided to spell it like this, because it's wrong both ways. There is no thread here where these things line up. I'm tearing my hair out.
Hey, Brantley.
So it's pronounced Gibiate, and Grant's not going to pronounce it right.
No, I'm not.
So I'm sorry. If you liked this show and you're like you're just dicking on it, we kind of are. Because they got it wrong from the beginning. Somebody got it wrong, and it was already in the Japanese version of the show because they spell out in English letters Gibiate or Gibiate. I guess that's where the A could have come from, Gibiate, but then it doesn't turn into Gibiate, it turns into Gibieto, so it's still wrong. Okay.
We
need to move on.
We do. That was a really good linguistics lesson, and I appreciate it. So we watched Gibiate, or Gibioto, or Gibiate, or whatever you want to call it, because we hate ourselves. And the world's already a shitty enough place, so why not make it shittier by watching currently the worst rated TV anime on my anime list.
Mm-hmm. Can you, before we get deep into this, can you confirm for me, Grant, that this show didn't align with like COVID happening? Because you know a little bit about like the production history of this.
So it did. It did. They had to delay it because of COVID.
No, I mean like the story though. The story is not based off of like, post or contemporary COVID world, right?
No. It just was very unfortunate.
Yes.
Like, as much as this show is just steeped in shitty choices, they did not try and capitalize on the COVID pandemic by making a show about a pandemic that just kind of happened. And, like, to be honest, that's kind of like a really like tropey, like, end of the world scenario. Yeah. So it's not like they were like, oh, let's do a pandemic thing. I'm pretty sure that that's just from the start of it, and you'll see why.
Should we first start by trying to explain the plot?
I would love to. I actually did this today at lunch, because I tried to explain this show to some people. Did you want to inflict
pain on someone?
No. So this show is, it's not my least favorite anime I've seen.
Seconded,
but it's definitely the worst produced show I've ever seen.
You need to. I want to say that you need to watch more anime, but at the same time, like, this is relative. Like, if you say, yeah, we paid animators for like 2 weeks and then we got this done, then, like, that's different, you know? But from what I understand, this production has a history to it and a wealth of detail that you're going to tell us about. So,
okay. So, this show is about a pandemic in which monsters stab people and they turn into monsters. And then the main character, Kathleen, wishes upon a star for help against these monsters, and that causes time travel to happen. So a samurai, a ninja, and a warrior monk from the Edo period come to modern-day Japan to fight these monsters.
Now, tell me if you've heard this one before. So a samurai and a shinobi and a monk. You see. So they show up.
They show up, and no one cares. Like, they're not like, wow, how the fuck did this happen? They're just like, sick, help. Now this would be okay if it's like, yeah, I mean, it's the end of the world, whatever, fucking do it. But later it's revealed that the scientist character trying to develop the vaccine is an alien, and he didn't want to tell anybody because reasons. But, like, at that point, if you're like, hey, I'm an alien trying to develop a cure for the shit, I'm sure everybody would be on fucking board because the world has ended and it's wild. So they go on a cross-country field trip to find some medicine, where they meet a pink-haired officer lady and her dad, who's a Yakuza boss, and all of his little minions that he travels with. And they try and find a vaccine, and everybody dies except for Kathleen and the ninja, and maybe the samurai. This show was supposed to have 2 seasons. Or at least the guy that made it wanted it to have 2 seasons. So you would think, like, should we talk about the characters? And we will. But they all die except for 3. And that's basically it. We'll talk about more how shitty it gets. But yeah, that's the plot synopsis.
I think that's the most effective plot synopsis we've ever delivered.
I've practiced this.
So you might think, well, that wasn't that complicated. But we didn't tell you in chronological order.
Yeah, it happens really rapidly and really slow at the same time. They also do full-on, like, flashback episodes. This is only a 12-episode show. And they have entire episodes dedicated to, like, how a samurai and a ninja became allies in the battle against a pandemic.
They have to show you how Sensui acted as a bootlicker back in, like, Edo period Japan.
Sensui is the samurai.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I forget all of their names, almost all of their names. Actually, I have it right here. So this show is garbage. It's animated by Studio Lunchbox, or it has different names. It's either Launchbox, which I have no idea if they're real. This is the only show they've worked on. But there's also Studio Lunchbox, which is a 3D CGI stop motion studio that does commercials. But, like, all their other shit, that's the only thing I could find about Studio Lunchbox. I have no idea if it's Launchbox or Lunchbox. I've looked up Launchbox, can't find anything.
Maybe there's just nothing on like English domains.
Yeah, it's wildly bad. And then it was also produced by Studio L, E-L-L-E. Now, what's wild about Studio L is they have done a whole 2 shows as primary animations. They did Gusko Bidori no Dinkai, maybe. And that was also by Tezuka Productions, which did things like like Dororo, the Quintessential Quintet, or whatever it's called. They did like Blackjack. Like, they've done a lot. And Studio L was like the secondary animation for that. And then they also did Gibiate. Mm-hmm. And then they also did like finish animations and line work for like a million other shows. So they were like a secondary animation team that you hire to do color corrections and to kind of hash out what you need to be finished. It's the animation studios are wildly underprepared for this. Mm-hmm. And it shows. Not the CGI monsters. So there are monsters, obviously, and they're really, really bad. Mm-hmm. I want you to imagine Beast Wars or Reboot or Cubics, the shows we talked about, and then just put them in a traditionally animated anime, and it's ugly. Mm-hmm. Oh, God.
Yeah, I do want to spend some time talking about the production values. I don't know if now is the time. Okay.
Yeah. You know what? Let's actually talk about how Gibiate got started before we delve into it.
But safe to say, yes, the monsters look ugly, and there's a part in the show where I swear to God they just put concept art up, as if like they'd been collecting data on them, and just the wild variance in them it's like it crucifies the show.
So the producer and writer of the show is a guy by the name of Ryo Aoki. What else has he done, you may ask? I don't fucking know. He's only listed as doing Gibiate and on the website. And since he's the producer, he probably funded it as well.
No.
Right? What?
No. Like,
what do you what?
That's not usually how that goes. That's
yeah. It's wild.
Is this dude's like someone's son or something? Or like
I have no idea. I've looked him up, and I just keep getting the Yakuza character from the game Yakuza. So on the website, it says, "At last, the project is ready for launch and shock the world. Samurai, ninja, katana, calligraphy. The Japanese theme project produced by Japanese legendary creators is ready for the world." And that's Gibiate.
None of those included like modern day or viruses or...
No, absolutely not. And from the first stage, we aim to create contents of work like Marvel or Pixar's productions that can entertain people all over the world.
Yeah, so this is just this is overambitious. They don't know what they're dealing with. This is marketing speech for like this is appeasing the stakeholders who also don't have any idea what's going on.
Yeah, and the thing is like I'll give it to this guy. He does not list himself as any part working for like the creation team. He's very much giving forth the people that were in charge of creating this, but he wanted a culturally relevant Japanese anime. Like, he wanted people to watch this and see Japan as a culture, because the people that worked on this show are wild. So the first project, the guy that did the initial concept art, is Yoshitaka Amano, who is widely known as doing those really like stylized arts for Final Fantasy. So if you ever play like a Final Fantasy game and you're on the opening screen and you see this kind of
dazzling wispy muted sort of art, that and like Vampire Hunter D, same thing. You have him on everything for that.
Yeah, so he did it, and he was kind of a big advertisement, like people showing his artwork. Now, some of it looks weird and wild, but like that's kind of his shtick. So it's like, wow, if they have this guy on, who else do they have? And this is where it gets even stranger. So while watching the show, I was like, damn, these characters look like JoJo characters. And they do. And that's because the key animation director is Masahiko Komino, who was the key animation director for JoJo Part 3.
Oh.
Yeah. So essentially, and he's the character designer for the anime. So essentially, he took Yoshitaka Amano's ideas and put them into the format in which they'd be animated, which is why they look like JoJo characters.
Wow. Huh.
Now, it gets wilder. So,
oh my god, yeah, I'm looking at like the side characters, and they just look like they're Part 3 characters. Like, Hidenori Sakuma, like that's a JoJo side character right there. That's someone who's gonna get punched in the face. You know, like it's. Whew. Yeah, that one in particular. I know he's a side character. He's the bombs guy, but like he sticks out as that. He's a Part 3 character for sure. Wow. Okay, continue.
So like that makes sense. Everything starts to piece together. Now here's the wild part. So on their website, they have different projects, essentially different announcements on who's going to be working on this. So their project 2 is a title design by an artist named Sisiu, who is a calligrapher. So that's why they mention calligraphy. And she is recognized by the Japanese government and has her works shown to the emperor and the empress in person. And she's like an internationally known calligrapher.
Wow.
It's
Did
so
she
like
spell
essentially they hired.
wrong? No, I'm kidding.
What?
Did she spell Gibiate wrong?
She might have. It just might have literally been like a communication error. So that's project 2. Project 3, the thing that they advertise is the katana. They made the katana of Gibiate that Senseiyu uses to put in a museum because the guy that made it is a guy by the name of Ishida Kunihisa. And I'm going to probably butcher some of these names. I'm real sorry.
It's okay. Grant's the one who translated Gibiate wrong.
So he is basically he has displayed his swords in the Shinsaku Nihoto and swords craftsman competition at the Sano Art Museum. He has been awarded for prizes for his displays. He exhibited his works at Evangelion and Japanese swords. So essentially, he's been part of these giant swords museums. And he is like a master swordsman. And they're like, hey, do you want to make a sword from our anime as part of your craft to advertise for this show?
Wow.
Like he is, once again, an internationally known swordsmith who does, like, art exhibits. It's wild. So, like, you have all these, like, weird, like, culturally relevant people. I don't know what this guy's doing, but another person they have is Mataro Kanabayashi III, who is a Japanese doll maker. Once again, internationally renowned chairman of the Japanese Doll Associations, basically a cultural, like, figure in art at Japan. I don't know what he's doing with this show. I don't know why he's involved. I cannot find what he did, but he's listed as part of the projects. And then you have now here's something that you're going to be like, that makes sense too. The monster designs, the Gibiate, were designed by a guy named Naoki Serizawa. Now, Naoki Serizawa is a manga artist, and he was hired by Capcom in 2012 and 2017 to make the Resident Evil manga. So he's the monster designer for the Resident Evil manga, and this is what he created. And it makes sense because Resident Evil has always had those, like, wacky fucking things.
You know, I was going to say that doesn't make any sense, but now I'm thinking of all, like, the actual just animals you fight.
Yeah.
And given the story that he has to follow, I get it. I feel bad.
I get it.
But I get it.
And then, of course, you have the Yoshida brothers, who are an internationally known Shimisan.
You can take one more. Let
me read it.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
I
have you done all this from memory?
Shamisen. No,
okay.
I've done most of it from memory.
That's impressive. You really were excited to do this episode.
this is your brain on ADHD. This is all I did at work today. It's wild. It's a shamisen.
Yes.
And so like it's these group of incredibly like talented artists from all different walks of life, and this guy basically said, hey, come be a part of my show that I am going to make as good as Pixar and Marvel. And everyone's like, fuck it, why not? It is
that's also a Japanese cultural touchstone, is the politeness, right? Someone invites you in and it's difficult to say no.
Now the
not
website
really,
is
probably, but like also that's a thing, but yeah.
The website is fairly well designed. It's not great, but it's not bad. But one of the things I like, it says the third anime trailer has exceeded 4 million views on YouTube, and you go to it and it has 31,945 views.
Wait, so they lied? Why'd they lie?
I don't know. It has no comments. It doesn't make sense.
Now, are comments disabled?
No, it just has no comments.
Do you want to be the first? Can you please, for me, just comment?
Yeah, I'll go do it.
Cool.
I'll go do it. Just cool.
Yes.
All right.
You all can fact check us on this since
I did
watching
it.
on YouTube.
We are the first and only comment on the Gibiate, the third anime trailer.
Sorry, everyone. Went back and checked the video, and well, our comment got removed. So I guess we know why we're the only ones, huh? Can't have fucking anything in this world.
What am I fighting for?
It's just cool.
Oh, we could have been bullies and said like that doesn't look like 4 million, but I feel like I want to be there for them in this moment. They've already taken the hit.
Well, this show's wild, and as of October 19th, the Gibiate's made-to-order Blu-ray box has been released, and its pre-order period will be August 13th, 2020 to November 30th, 2020. So we got a couple days to buy it. It's 35,000 yen.
That is $350 approximately.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I thought it was like 35 bucks.
No!
It is. You
knock off 2 zeros, and that gets you close. Like,
yeah.
Oh.
I want it so badly. Like, I know it's so much money, but I feel like if we got it, we'd be the only people with it ever.
You realize why the price is so high? They're pre-scalping. Like,
yeah, they absolutely are. But like the best part is it has like Kickstarter goals.
What?
If 500 sets are sold, you get they'll add original jacket illustration by Yoshitaka Amano, limited edition booklet which contains a 60-page luxury special edition with character design illustrations by Amano, monster design illustrations by Naoki, and official anime design works and more. If they sell 1,000 sets, you get original artwork with serial numbers and non-tele-op version of opening and ending video. If they sell 1,500 sets, voice actor audio commentary and interviews. Bitches, can you imagine hearing the voice actors do commentary on this show? Like, it's so wild.
Oh no! I pulled my earbuds out. No. What?
Are you ready?
Ready now.
'Cause there's
oh,
more.
No.
If there's 2,000,
No, there's more.
are you okay? Yeah.
Are there
If
any
there's
that are met yet? Do they show it?
I don't know. It doesn't tell you. Unless none of them are met. If 2,000 sets or more, you get the soundtracked CD and a special interview with opening and ending artists. So the people that made the ending and opening. And then if 3,000 are sold, it just says special event. It doesn't explain. It doesn't explain what it is. It just says special event.
We will release Gibiate into the world.
Dude, if I was like an eccentric billionaire,
Yeah.
I would buy 3,000 sets of Gibiate.
Hey, if you're listening to this, go buy this box set.
Please, like,
Not really. I can't
my
actually
God.
recommend that, but like, wouldn't that
No,
be fucking
absolutely
cool?
not.
If we had enough,
Like-
if we had an actual following, I might actually be that much of a dick and just be like, yeah, go buy this. Let's see what happens. Could you imagine if their entire sales base was just American?
oh, I have,
And they're like, we did
I
it!
have
An international success!
I have no idea. I have no idea what the like. That's it. That's all it is, and I cannot tell you. Like we watched this a couple last Friday. We were finishing it up, and I was looking into it while I was watching it because it's boring at times, like horribly slow and boring. And I just kept getting like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, that makes sense. This is the first time I'm reading about the Kickstarter.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
How do we find how many people in my anime list have made this a favorite?
I can do that real quick. So this
only has 8,000 reviews on my anime list.
It has 58 favorites.
That's not enough for a Kickstarter goal, is it?
No, it's not. So here's the thing though. It has 8,000 reviews, right? That's not a lot cuz sorry, I thought it was going to be a little bit more. Like Madoka has like 500,000. Let's see what Reivu Starlight has. Just because that's what Reivu Starlight has 17,000.
Mm-hmm.
And it has like 835 favorites. But hey, I think that is a lower percentage per favorites per you. Oh God, this show is wild, and I think we're gonna not do it as much justice we're gonna talk about it, and it's not gonna be nearly as wild as what I just said.
Let's categorize this. Who should watch this show? I know we might save a recommendation for the end, but I think it's relevant. Let's figure this out. So instead of saying a really broad if you like shonen, go watch this. Let's just start essentially taking people and putting them in the watch or don't watch category, right? Just as you come up with it. So
all right, Jeff Bezos. Does he want to watch it or not watch it?
Let's temporarily put him in watch. Okay.
Okay, Macaulay Culkin.
No. We're not doing I'm not gonna journey map Macaulay Culkin's persona through the experience of Gibiate, Grant. I'm not gonna do that.
The answer is he should watch.
I mean, what types of people? So, who would like this show? In other words, so if you're a super fan for Japanese history and alternate history, then you might get a kick out of it. So if you're someone who's if you like Bakumatsu, Kikansetsu, Iro Hani Hoheto, I have to pronounce it slowly because I haven't seen that in a while. But if you're yeah, I'll watch this net animation that's some traditional Japanese stylings, but also weird magic stuff, then you might just be out there enough to like this show. If you're someone who likes B movies, especially sci-fi B movies, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you are one to play drinking games with your friends and want to get trashed, I'll make a drinking game for this goddamn show if anybody wants it. It is insanely fun to watch with some people. Yes. There are multiple people that watch this show with us. And it's incredible. It's incredible.
If you like Sengoku Basara, you might like this because the character archetypes of Sensui and Kenroku and Yoshinojo. Did I get that right? Yuki Nojo. Shit.
Get fun.
I was thinking of Yoshinaga and Yuki Nojo. I just always thought of him as the monk, but I remember Dozan, because he's always screaming that. If you like Sengoku Basara and like, the wackiness of just, classical Japanese warriors taking out just fields of enemies, then you might like this.
You can buy masks.
I want to talk about merch so much, man.
No, not now.
But
Sorry.
we will get to that.
Yeah, we will.
If you're someone who would like to buy a funny mask, then Gibiate might have you covered.
If you are a prankster and a trickster and you want people to think this show is good and you watch it and then you sell it as a good show, definitely a big fan of this one.
If you don't mind being bored, then you might vibe with this. It's kind of like low drama, despite the pretenses and how wacky they can make it sound. If you're looking for like so bad it's good, or like The Room bad kind of thing, where you're trying to get a kick out of it, probably won't happen. I'd put you in the don't watch category. Don't waste your time.
Yeah.
Only gets
if
slower.
you like PowerPoints. If you like PowerPoints about Japanese history, watch like 4 episodes in the middle.
Yeah. If you like fucking slow burn romance that doesn't get justice, then watch this show.
Oh my god. Okay.
If you like Calorie Mates, then there's one part in the first episode you might enjoy.
If you like Brugs and rock and roll,
yeah,
there's a poster for you in that show.
Mm-hmm. If you like JoJo, but just kidding, you hate JoJo. Like you love to hate JoJo, then you might like this show. Or you might hate it even more.
It's wild. This show's wild. You definitely have to see it to believe it, but that doesn't mean watch all of it.
Yeah. Gonna be real, okay. I kind of got Decadence vibes occasionally with this show.
Oh my god.
I think it's just because the fighting monsters thing and like 3D and
yeah.
For some reason, Ayame reminds me a lot of the like higher skilled characters they start introducing among the
kind of like the weird out there pink haired characters with weird skin.
Yeah, well, and like they have the troop of, is it tankers?
Yeah.
Oh,
the power.
The power.
Yeah.
She kind of reminds me of them, but in one person, where she kind of comes in and she's girl bossing it, Yeah. Except that they make her worse.
Yeah.
And that's not good.
Do you think that the power dyed their hair to be like the army? The Gears? Do you think that the power was dyeing their hair because they wanted to compare themselves to the Gears in Decadence?
Ooh, that's a good idea.
But
you don't get that kind of thing with this show.
Which is wild.
Hey, if you hate women, watch this show.
Yeah, man. If you want to watch,
like an unleashed misogynist.
Yeah, if you want to watch women do absolutely nothing, then
or
watch
worse,
this show.
Fail and get people killed. This show's for you.
Yeah, it's really weird because the show's not the most problematic show I've seen, and I wouldn't even consider it like deep problematic.
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't have good women characters.
Yeah, it writes them poorly, which is unfortunately standard for, I would say, action anime. The number of times that Grant and I can count where it's like the woman gets shown up by the man every single time, and it's unflinchingly consistent in that, is sad and depressing. By the way, one last subcategory, if you're just thirsting like hell for bishy boys.
Bishy as fuck.
You've got some.
Hell yeah.
All of the main male characters have ponytails. Or in the case of Yuki no Jo, pigtails. So, there you go.
Bishy. Just fucking bishy. So let's actually kind of break it down, because we said a lot of character names and did not talk anything about the characters.
Mm-hmm.
So let's break it down, shall we?
Yeah.
So the Wikipedia has a nice list of all the characters, and I will say that these characters have more detail than the Yuki Yuna characters on Wikipedia.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Sensui Kanzaki. He's a samurai. Brightly, what do you think of Sensui?
He is just Jotaro from part 3. That's it. He's a tough guy who cares enough to put the work in, except they also made him a bootlicker.
Yeah, he loves imperialistic Japan.
Mm-hmm.
He loves Edo Japan, who just wanted to fight.
So dedicated to his lord. And he doesn't even like the guy, seemingly. He looks exhausted when he has to deal with his just, like, stupid ass. But he's just like, nope, I have to do it for my lord. Even to the point where when he's getting whisked away to the future, that's the last thing he says. Ideally, his dying words would be, my lord.
And he was exiled. Like, he was exiled by
this guy
lord,
who thought it was like, I have an idea. I'll exile you out of the country, and then I'll just call you back later, and then it'll be okay. So they don't have to kill me. I can just make you the scapegoat. And he's, like, excited to say this. And Sensui is just like, my lord.
My lord.
So, yeah, he's just brooding hero. Kenroku. Let's talk about Kenroku.
He's Joseph Joestar.
He's Joseph. He's young Joseph from part 2. Yeah. He
gets progressively downgraded as he goes into the show. Mm-hmm. So he starts out with having, like, wires that he, like, puts grenades on and uses them to blow up, like, literally straight out of JoJo.
That's Straizo's fight. Like, he pulls the pins of the grenades with his wires as, like, a quick trap. He also can speed of sound. He can zoosh.
Yeah.
Make a little after image.
He has he has the after image. It's wild. But the wires are so powerful because Gibiate don't have bones. They're made out of semen. And I'm not saying this as, like, they actually are, but they're made out of, like, white goo, and it's gross.
They're made out of fake Krabby Patties.
Yeah, like that scene in the one where
in the SpongeBob.
In the SpongeBob. It's bad. But, like, the wires are really great, and then he gets chain sights, which I think he uses a total of 1 time, and then he gets, like, a metal baseball bat, and he sucks with it.
Mm-hmm. And it's not even his, it's Yuki Nojo's, who had inherited it from Dozan, so...
Yeah, so Yuki Nojo, who's he, Bradley?
He's a big guy, and he's a gentle giant monk. He's literally every version of this character you've ever seen before, but at least, he does the job. He's probably the most satisfying to listen to out of everybody.
And you know what I like about him? He's like, man, I thirst for women. I haven't seen a woman ever. And he looks at Kathleen and he's like, you are too young and I will not pursue you. And then he sees Kathleen's mom and he's like, I want you to be my wife. And he's very respectful about it.
It's almost like he wants to go to Disney World, you know?
Yeah.
Like, someday I just would love to experience a woman. And then he gets to that point and he meets Eureka and it's just like, this is nice. He respects women more than this show's writer does.
Yeah, he even talks about how he's not going to do it in the middle of an apocalypse because there's more important things to do. Like, I love that. I'm not gonna like thinking back on that. That's the best fucking part about this show is that there's just this large monk man who's incredibly strong, who's just like, I will someday have a wife, but now it's not the time. Let's talk about Kathleen Brantley.
What about her?
She is her personality traits include being a girl and
saving the world.
Yes, she is a young scientist, and you would think, wow, does she ever do science in the show? No. She does a little bit at the first part, and then they never bring her up again. She she's the reason that all the Edo warriors came back because she wished upon a star and it caused time travel to happen. Now, it's not through magical bullshit, it's through scientific bullshit, because the star she wished upon was an alien spaceship that was using brainwaves to travel through space, in which her brainwaves acted with that brainwaves to make time travel. It's wild. And the alien is Dr. Yoshinaga Brantley. Why didn't he tell everyone he was an alien?
I mean, I don't know. But we need to not go past Kathleen really quickly.
Okay,
Kathleen's
yes,
outfit's
Kathleen.
fucking disgusting.
It's bad. It gets better,
like,
but it's bad.
just like, fashion design, like, wise, I just hate it. It's so impractical. Everyone in this show has the worst combat outfit. Like, Sensui has exposed skin. So does actually all of like the main people who are out fighting have exposed skin. Ayame's got like her navel exposed. Yukinojo's bearing his chest. Kenroku has bare arms. Kathleen has a bare navel and bare arms and bare legs, I think. Or was she wearing pants?
And Kathleen?
Yeah.
Nah, she's wearing a skirt.
That's what I thought. And pants. Sensui's also got bare arms and a bare chest. Slightly. Yeah, like they are not apocalypse prepared, man. I don't get it.
And if you get stabbed by like any part of the Gibiate, you turn into a Gibiate.
Yeah.
And so it's like, why the fuck are you not like head to toe decked out in like leather
armor? Yeah. Well, I guess it didn't help the army guys, the actual like.
Oh, I forgot about Brian.
People. Brian. No, wait. Was it Brian? And who's the other guy? Adam,
I think. They're not on the wiki, so like they die early. Oh man, I forgot about the old man. Fuck, dude.
Yeah. They're so inconsequential that they don't appear in my anime list as characters in the show.
The old man gets a sword for Sensui, immediately beefs it, and then it shows a transparent vision of him in the sky giving a thumbs up.
And that's a JoJo thing, is to show the character dead in the sky.
Wild. And it's the only time it happens, too.
Yeah.
But it happens multiple times with that character.
Yeah, because I keep flashing back to it. So Kathleen, I should also mention, like, she has a stun gun, which is fairly effective, but she's almost never in combat because they keep her in the RV. And then she goes out and stabs things every now and then, but not every time. In fact, very rarely. And the one cool thing about her is that she's like video recording all the people she meets and like getting their stories. And that's like the consistent sort of through line through the series is getting everyone's testimonies about their life in the apocalypse. And there's no real reason why she, compared to anyone else, would do that, but at least it's something in her character. She's basically your emotional mirror. So whenever she's like, that's terrible, or this is awful, it's to give you a human connection because none of the other characters are equipped to do that. Everyone else is too serious, and this show has a major problem with letting people deal with grief. Everything is always like, we have to move on, or, you have to pick yourself up and keep going, or things like that. It will not let people mourn. It's, again, one of the worst elements of the show that is strangely consistent, up there with like the misogyny thing. But that's really all there is to it. Kathleen gets benched a lot, but she's at least saying like sugoi when things are amazing, and otherwise is just getting worried and scared. Yoshinaga is the scientist. Dr. Yoshinaga is an alien. And he reveals this only at the very end when he's like, I'm big mad because you killed my big wife. And they're like,
kill his big wife.
And they're like, we didn't know that, but we're also apparently not that visibly surprised. Not even Kathleen reacts, and she reacts to everything.
And it's wild because like they've encountered his big evil wife, whose name's Meteora, which is the best Linkin Park album. And she is chasing them. and they've encountered her multiple times, and not once did Dr. Yoshinaga go, don't kill that one, it's important.
Mm-hmm.
They even give it a name. Like, they even call it Meteora. They're like, it's Meteora, they're back. And it's like, if this is important, Doctor, fucking tell us. And it's wild because he's like, I'm an alien, and no one cares. If you would have said, hey, I'm an alien, that's my wife, and if we work together, we can save her, they'd be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Because they basically said that anyway. After they killed
Yoshinaga immediately accepted time travel, and everyone else believed him. So if he just said he was an alien, then everyone would believe him on that too. And they were just gone with it. He did not raise suspicion at all throughout this. By the way, to cover our asses, just in case he might have said like not to kill Meteora, but
I don't remember.
When they fight Meteora later on, he doesn't repeat it. So yeah. It would have been easy to be like, I need this specimen to make the antidote, and just call it there, but nope.
Yeah, there's so many lies you could have said to not reveal you're from another planet. And, like, he was totally on board, because he's the reason that the Gibiate are there, and he was totally on board with helping Earth as, like, just kind of like a thing that would happen if he saved his wife. And then when they killed her, he's like, nah, fuck Earth. It's over. Mm-hmm. It's wild.
I don't know. I interpreted that he was going to say fuck Earth either way.
He might have, but either way, really stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're going to take a side tangent to talk about Kathleen's mom and the inconsistencies with writing in this show.
Eureka.
Yeah. She is a mom and a doctor. That's what it says on Wikipedia.
Mm-hmm.
She cannot differentiate Gibiate, from humans. Now, you might be thinking, wow, that's going to be an interesting plot-relevant thing that we see all the time. It happens once. She mistakes a Gibiate for a human one time,
mm-hmm.
and then never again.
Yeah, it doesn't also make any physiological sense, because, like, she's not, like, blinded, or, you know, she doesn't have, like, a physical disability that would, like, give her less information, you know? It's just a perception thing. That, like,
mm-hmm.
if she looks at a Gibiate and she looks at a human, she can't tell the two apart. So, if a Gibiate is, like, 10 feet tall and hulking over and casting a shadow on her, somehow she would still turn to that and see it as a human.
Now, we didn't explore this possibility, Brantley.
Yeah.
What if all humans look like Gibiate? And she's just like, yes, I love my gecko spider.
Well, no,
daughter.
that wouldn't make sense because she's been seeing people before Gibiate were a thing, so she would see them as people first.
Yes. No, I was just goofing.
But,
yeah. It's wild.
And like also like what is she seeing when something snakes around or walks with 8 legs? You know, like it doesn't make sense.
And if GBO were more human-like, if they're like zombies,
mm-hmm.
I could see like a mental break happening because of an apocalyptic scenario
mm-hmm.
in which she doesn't see the difference. But they look nothing like humans.
Yeah, the one thing I would bend on is to say that it's a soul sense. That she doesn't physically see people, that somehow she only sees their like soul or their spirit.
Sense.
But they don't ever talk about souls or spirits in this show. Not that I remember. Not even the characters from the Edo period are ever talk that way. They don't like talk spiritually like that. So I have to assume that that's not it either. Thematically, you might think, well, maybe it means something in the themes. I didn't have any luck. We'll get there, but the answer's no.
Yeah, it's a lot. Let's move on to let's not do all the other team, the prisoners, except for the dad.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Ayame real quick. She is boss girl with a shotgun, which is weird because they clearly state in the original episodes that guns aren't really effective against Gibiate, and she murks so many Gibiate with a shotgun.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes so hard that they don't even animate.
Yeah, yeah. And then her dad is a former head of a small group of Yakuza. They have like a falling out before this, and now they're trying to reconcile. But by the time they reconcile, they both die. And then they have a whole gang of other people that follow them around, and they're not important.
Yep.
There's not a lot to talk about in terms of interesting developments or even like wild shit besides the initial concept, because the rest of the show is pretty tame.
Yeah.
In terms of things, they go on a cross-country road trip, they fight monsters, they eat, they park, they talk about things, and then they do a flashback to a character's backstory.
They actually, Grant pointed out, they once did a campfire scene sequenced into a new and different campfire scene.
Yeah, it's like in Birdemic where they keep stopping for water. It's like the writers have no idea how to create a time when people need to be like sitting down and chilling to talk, so they just make it eat lunch. There's not a single time where they're fighting. Like the fighting is atrocious, and I don't know if I can describe it in words how bad it is, but the CGI is abysmal, like 90s bad with less movement. And the characters die like rapidly. Like once Kathleen's mom dies, the monk dies.
They just
like,
start dropping.
almost.
Yeah.
They just start dropping, and it's like there's part of you that's like, wow, the show was brave to kill off all these characters, because it genuinely shocked us. We were like, wow, they're just doing it.
I thought they're all gonna live.
Me too. But they don't. But like none of the deaths are really that impactful. Kathleen's mom dies because she gets stabbed in the foot by a Gibiate, and then like that's it. She goes off to die so that she doesn't hurt anybody.
She sits in a car with the ugliest fucking texture I've ever seen on it.
God, it's
and then
so
she
bad.
doesn't get seen as Kenroku and Ayame walk right past, and that's infuriating. But it's not like they're gonna save her anyways.
Yeah. And then you need how do you pronounce the monk's name again?
Yuki Nojo.
Yeah, and Yuki Nojo, like Kathleen and
like
him
the
are,
guy
like,
who did the airplane dog.
What? Oh, Yuki Nojo.
Yeah.
Yuki Nojo, like Kathleen and him are like out in the dark, and like the Gibiate don't like the light, which isn't shown until much later in the show. Like to a point where like a flashlight scares them away.
Really don't. Yeah, they don't use it very often.
And they're like, oh no, it's dark. They're gonna come for us. And he locks Kathleen in a garage and defends the garage and dies. What's wild about it though is that he could have just walked in the garage with her. Like the Gibiate didn't try and get in.
My guess is that he realized it was Kathleen's mom somehow. Which now I'm thinking about it, doesn't really... Well, yeah, I guess it makes sense. If you're a plot-important character, you turn into a unique Gibiate. But if you're anyone else who's a citizen of Japan, you either turn into a gecko with many legs, or like a gargoyle, or like a centipede monster. And that's basically it. Unless those are supposed to be... No, yeah.
But they clearly say that you turn into different forms depending on your age, sex, and race.
And they just don't care. They just don't care.
They don't fucking care. This show is a mess.
Yeah, there was no way that they could have... That's a scope problem of infinite proportion. Like, literally infinite.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't even have the capacity to procedurally generate any of that. Yeah, and so my assumption is that he was like, I can't bear to see Kathleen knowing that her mother is transformed and must die, and so I will die with her. I don't think he would have lost to one Gibiate, but I kind of get the impression that he let it happen. Like a let's die together kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's because he smashes the head so it's not recognizable. But I mean, it's still clearly recognizable because characters pointed out, but Kathleen doesn't notice. So, all right.
Yeah, it's not good.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about production values.
Okay.
Bad.
Bad.
I am an artist in some extent. So I try to be lenient with this stuff. I animate in pixel art sprites and stuff. And I do that because it's specifically low resolution. There's not a lot of room for error or motion, and so I get to do a lot fast. I've tried to animate, larger scale before, and it's tiresome. It really is brutal. I've been in the trenches, so therefore, when a show starts to look janky, I don't really hold a lot against it, especially because Japanese animation still does a lot of redrawing. It's because that's why when something like PowerPoint transitions across the screen, that it looks so bad. Because it's not typical for Japanese anime, even in the case of really low frame animations, when they have to go below animating on threes, and something's really choppy. At the very least, you're seeing different drawn images. They are redrawing it on each frame. There's a lot of pride in that, and I think it has an effective touch to it, even when you have to go into much lower frame rates. And so I am forgiving of that, or at least I'm not super critical of that kind of art quality. I also know that you're gonna get some screwy looking faces every now and then, because you're trying to keep what are very detailed faces and not very flexible faces mapped correctly onto that, and that's not easy. But where I start to apply a critical lens is to the decisions that control these animations and essentially burden the animation team with this stuff. So, for instance, why do you keep doing these you're scripting in these scenes that require background rotation and stuff and character rotations, and that's just difficult. You're making these inconsistent monster designs which require different rigs. They had to go to 3D in the first place for this. And even then, it's you made your work harder again. You meant to scale down, I'm sure. Or maybe this was just, it could have been that they went ambitious from the start, and then, oops, no way out. Let's just pick a couple of monsters and use those.
Right.
But, again, you've damned your team. There are ways to make the best thing ever and scale it down really small.
It seems to be not a lack of, talent or, I'm sure that the animation studio is overworked as hell and that they had a hard time putting together everything. But it just seems like there's a lack of oversight and a lack of funding and a lack of serious direction. I'm not going to say that Masahiko Komino, who's the animation director, is completely at fault, but the story's wild, right? And you're how the fuck do you animate this? And I'm sure that there was some insanely hard crunch for this show.
It feels like it. And there are shows that have very low amounts of animation that people still really enjoy. Although it's not really my cup of tea anymore, but Katana Gatari, that's a show that has panning shots of the sky as people are monologuing that last for a minute to 2 minutes long, on just one drawing. It's not animation quality or animation frequency is necessarily a direct indicator of how someone will like something.
Right.
But they weren't willing to accept that. Someone higher up demanded that this stay ambitious. Or worse, what I imagine actually happened was that it was sold on these pretenses, and then they felt like they had to commit either way. It was sort of we'll go down with the ship kind of thing. This is all conspiracy, but it feels like it.
Right. I mean, the Gibiate Project YouTube channel joined YouTube in 2018.
Yeah. So.
But their first video wasn't. Oh, never mind. I lied. They have a ton of videos. 2 years ago, they have him talking about it. I should have watched these. Dang, I'm going to. And like, you can tell that there was some. It seems to me that they were more excited about pushing forth these new the culture that they were trying to show, and not the show itself.
Yeah, this is an entrepreneurial effort that then artists had to try to manifest.
Right. And I'm guessing that's why, like, the fact that the guy that the director and producer of it has nothing else on my anime list. I'm guessing that he has no idea how to run this shit. And he just hired people to do things, and he's like, do it. And they're like, what? Okay.
This feels like someone was rich and had a passion project.
Yeah, but, like, make it into a D&D campaign, not a shitty show.
Yeah, well, I think at that point, you don't know how to not spend that much money.
Right.
Because imagine being a billionaire and I'm like, I want to make like a small pocket of goodness in the world. You don't know that anymore. You just to you everything has to be the next big thing, because that's how you've made all your successes before, is big promises and then the exploitation of everyone else underneath you, bastards. Are we on a streak for being able to just like lay out on capitalism?
Dude, I will turn anything into laying out on capitalism. You could be like, oh, look at that cat. And I'm like, it'd be better if capitalism wasn't holding us down. But I mean, the fact that
Don't you want your cat to have wet food every day? We could have that.
Yeah. But like the fact that on the website, he says, we aim to create contents like the work of Marvel or Pixar Productions. I cannot stress how wild of a thing that is, right? Like, they're owned by fucking Disney, right? Marvel is the best-selling media franchise, at least top 5. I think Pokemon's the best-selling media franchise. But in terms of movies, Marvel's up there, right? And then like Pixar, fucking, it's your Toy Story in 1999 looked better than your stuff.
Yeah. Also, well, first of all, that was Toy Story 2.
Yeah, Toy Story 1 came out, 96?
Yeah. But, like, why aim at Western companies as your bar, too?
Right.
Like,
well, especially with how much this guy wanted to show the legacy and culture of Japan, right? As far as going out to find people that are, proficient Japanese calligrapher artists and, like, a swordsmith, right? It seems like he really wanted something to show the culture of Japan, but had no fucking clue how to do it.
Right. No skin in the game, and you can't then properly manage that. It just doesn't work,
Right.
And I should know, because I teach students how to, work through game dev projects. And, guess what? They typically overscope, and they typically sort of skin their knees on that. There's a lot of concepts that don't really make it anywhere, which are just vague epic. They have the image in their head, they can hear the trailer music, but like it doesn't become anything, because it's just the idea. The idea has to be proven through these really minuscule atoms of satisfaction, that like, we got the pushing of the button to feel good, this, when you're trying to skip that, you can't do it. It doesn't become anything. You can look to AAA companies. Here's a little shout out, go read Blood, Sweat, and Pixels if you're into video games, because that's like a multi-case study of Blizzard and Naughty Dog and Obsidian, all these companies that are used to delivering consistently, and all of them agree that the game doesn't feel fun or doesn't like solidify until like the last second. That internally they might feel like this is a disaster up until like the month before release, and then it all like, you know, eventually congeals. If these are the people who are making the most money and, you know, succeeding at the highest frequency, and they still don't have the metric for, you know, running a safe, consistent project, then to an extent this stuff is impossible. And the only way then to not crash and burn is to take all those expectations and roll them back and keep doing that every time you have these big roadblocks.
Absolutely.
I also I do want to say, like, there are artistic decisions that are just weird. Things I didn't understand. For one, the inconsistent monster designs. Like, I know this is probably, you know, somewhat coming from weird demands and stuff, but like, God, the gecko with the 8 insect legs and then frog flippers on the end is one of the ugliest things I've ever seen. Yeah.
Well, if you go to the Gibiate project website, and you go to the monster design stuff, the frogs had human hands on their feet.
The frogs? Were there frogs in this?
I mean, not the frogs. The geckos.
They always
the geckos
did?
had.
Or was that?
They had human hands.
Am I remembering this wrong?
No. In the show, they had frog flippers, right?
Okay.
But in the concept art, they had human hands, and it looks terrible. But it kind of makes more sense.
Yeah, because more of them had like human appendages.
Yeah.
Like that inconsistency is weird. You know, and again makes trouble for things. The one thing I can't shake every time I look at this show, there's this awful green like light source, like a gradient that's being applied from like the top left of the characters, and it's like masked onto them. So it looks like there's always like a sickly green light nearby, which I'm sure was the intent of like, well, we need to make it look like it's in the apocalypse and that it's scary and sickly and whatever. But it's everywhere. Like, it's constant. It's like it's a glued thing to the characters, and I don't understand why it's there. It feels like they applied it in like a concept rendering or something, and then they stuck too well to that.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Also, sorry, I'm still on their YouTube channel. They keep uploading things 4 times. So, like, the thing I commented on has 4 different versions, each with different names, but it's the same exact video.
Is that how they got 4 million views?
No, because their entire channel view is only, like, 200,000. I don't know where they got the 4 million views from. So, yeah, Gibiate's wild.
Man, it feels like they wanted to franchise this entire thing.
Oh, the guy that made it said he wanted to do a second season. I think that's why it ends on a cliffhanger.
Mm-hmm. So can I ask then? If you could search for me, what other merch can you find? Like
for the GB
so badly. I just want like Hot Topic T-shirts with Sensui and Kenroku on them.
So I don't think they have that. You can buy acrylic figurines.
They have figures?
So they're like 2D figurines. They're like Shrinky Dinks.
Oh.
Of the characters.
Oh my.
You can buy a mask.
So you could just take Kenroku's little like 2D Shrinky Dink and snap him at that fucking snatched waist of his.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Damn, I just saw this somehow. Hold on, let me find it. You can buy like prints.
You just pick them up and you're just like, I want this twink obliterated. You just snap them in half.
You can buy their prints of like the art that God, I forgot his name. The Final Fantasy guy did.
Amano. Yoshitaka Amano. Hey, how expensive are those prints?
Hold on. I lost what I was looking at about the merchandising.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, damn it, where'd it go? I'm so bad.
They took it down. We're cyberbullying them, so they took it down.
Oh, okay, sorry. I was on the wrong Gibiate page. There's two. So you can buy like wall scrolls of the characters. I found the market. Oh, let's see. I'm going to some Japanese websites. It's taking a long time to load. So the acrylic figures are 1,760 yen.
Mm-hmm.
You can buy pens of the original prints for 528 yen, so about $5. The wall scrolls are about $23, about 2,300 yen. You can get the entire pen bundle for $18. Ooh, the Kathleen wall, the actual wall scrolls are $30.
I don't know why I asked this, because this just makes it feel even more pathetic somehow.
It's incredible that they are marketing it.
Yeah, it feels like with this kind of promise that they shouldn't have even done low grade merch. You know, that's like you have to spend hundreds of dollars to get anything related to Gibiate.
Yeah, it's bad. It's real bad. I really like one of the mask designs because it's just a silhouette of the samurai and like the Gibiato calligraphy.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Blu-ray is $350.
Yeah,
that's insane. The Blu-ray for give me an anime, give me a popular anime with Blu-ray. Let's see what the Blu-ray for
Fairy Tail.
Blu-ray Fairy Tail. Collection 1 on Amazon is $35.
Alright, check out the new season.
Newest season. I mean, they're all $35. I guess when you have that Funimation.
That's true.
More specific, let's see the Revue Starlight, because the Revue Starlight Blu-ray is $90 for the box set. For just the Blu-ray, it's $50.
Yeah, I was gonna guess 70 or 80. So
for the Zombieland Saga, because I want that Blu-ray. I wish it wasn't expensive. It's like $70, right? It's expensive because it's still like, importing all this stuff. But damn, $350. But like, I guess that's they're like, well, if you get it all, we get the Gibiate event.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever the fuck that
they
means.
must have thought they were gonna get it.
I'm so curious. What could it be? What could? And I did the math. It would cost about $1,350 to buy 3,000 copies of Gibiate. $1,050,000.
Who wants to be a millionaire? We do, to get this to happen.
Yeah, so we can fund the Gibiate event.
I feel like it's got to be like a stage show where like the creators get up on stage, and it starts off with some people costumed as the actors with like a dub over, and they do like a little weapon showcase for a while, and they dance around, and then they leave the stage. And the creators come up and talk about the vision of the show and thank the fans. And then they probably have like a live band. They probably get the Shamisen bros to do the opening live, And
they just play Final Fantasy 14 for a couple hours.
Yeah, they just stream it up there.
I think if I had a genie wish. Mm-hmm. That's what I would wish for.
He's like, the genie's like, I'm supposed to be the one who makes these bad. Like, that's my thing. I make it worse. Go off, I guess.
What the fuck could it be? Like the just the incredible amount of what it could be.
Here's my question.
Yeah.
How many more years would it take to salvage Gibiate into a good show?
It could never be a good show. I think if you wanted to make a Gibiate a good show, you would have to remove the producer from having any directorial rights.
I agree.
You would have to redesign all the monsters. You'd have to make them human-like.
Thinking.
The monsters being monsters totally ruins. Like, if some of them were monsterish, that'd be fine. But if they were humanoid, it'd make a little bit more sense in a lot of aspects, and you could also make it so much easier to animate. You could, because fighting monsters is tough. I just try to combine tough and hard into one thing. It's tough because like you gotta completely design how they move. You gotta completely design how they attack. You have to make it believable. It's not easy. So you make them humans. You get a completely you have to get an animation team that has a lot more under their belts.
Yeah, you just start over from pre-production.
Yep, it's. I don't think it could happen.
Yeah, I pegged it like we literally just restart 3 years. You know, like we give it another 3. Also, I'm glad that you mentioned that the monsters would be better as humanoids, because I also agree. I think they should have been demons. I don't know why they didn't do demons, because demons would connect the Edo period mysticism up into modern day still.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
Like,
and
why not do yokai? Why not?
Yeah.
When Yoshinaga transforms into his the ultimate form,
the Doctor Yoshinaga, the Doctor alien boy.
Yes. He looks like a demon. He doesn't look like a monster. You know what he looks like? He looks like the final boss of Ghouls and Ghosts, where it has like the big mouth in the center, and like okay, he looks like Nightmare from Soul Calibur also has that, like the abdomen is a mouth, you know. That's like newer designs of it. It's demonic. All the bat winged.
Yeah. It you're right. It'd make so much more sense, and it'd be so much more interesting. And not make that guy an alien. Like, come on.
Yeah. Also, don't just rip off Dragon Ball designs.
Yeah, the guy looks like Frieza.
I do want to mention a few more things about the demon thing, I realized. One, it still works in the plot because you can misinterpret demons as aliens in modern times.
100%.
So it's
100%.
like, that's not a demon, that's an alien. It's like, well, we called them demons, you know? So it's like, it doesn't... You could even do, like, okay, so Dragon Ball has, like, an afterlife, which is, like, a real place.
Yes.
Yuki Yuna does that, too. Oops, minor spoilers. You heard nothing. No, I'll put a mention in the description. But... You know, like, you could have it that, like, they came from a different place, which we could perceive as hell, you know? That could be fine. Like, it makes, like, a vaccine make more sense, because instead of literally trying to ungarble someone's DNA back into their original form, it's just undoing a possession, basically. Like, that makes more sense. It validates Kathleen's mom, because it's not that she's not seeing a different, like, physical form, it's that she's not seeing the evil in people. She's not seeing the demon, you know, that's inhabiting their body. And also, it would make more sense instead of the venom, you know, like, you can still just kind of do, like, a possession or, like, vampire rules thing, like, that's still fine, right? Literally everything works better when it's not aliens, when it's not a virus.
Yeah, and I mean, you're preaching to the choir in terms of the show has like a million things wrong with it, but my goodness, does the show have a million things wrong with it?
If they filtered it down, then at least they'd stop all these conflicts, all these crossing wires. Speaking of crossing wires, do you mind if I try to give my thematic readings of this show?
Actually, you don't need to, because they gave their thematic readings in the Gibiate.com. They said, we chose wa, parentheses, Japanese, as the theme. So get fucked, Brightly. That's the theme of this show.
Wait, what?
Yeah. This is, I will copy and paste it and send it to you on Discord so you can see the exact wording they have. But yeah, they already chose the theme. That's the theme of the show.
So is that like evil? Because like Warui, so like Wario and Waluigi, the Wa is like an evil sort of version of that. Is
It says I mean, as the first step, we chose Wa as the theme while inviting highly reputed Japanese creators to help us fulfill the project. That's what it says. That's all it told.
Let me see if there's alternate translate. Because also you have like watashi wa, which like it's a part. It's like the verb sort of part of like I am, or that kind of thing. So if I said like watashi no America jin desu, it's like I am American.
I found the kanji of it. So I'll send it to you and see if your 500 days of Duolingo can help us out.
Okay. Let me take a look.
Here it is.
Okay. Okay, so that's a more specific character. Yeah, that's not just like the hiragana. That's not the syllable. So let's try it. Oh.
It just says
some. Harmony, peace.
Okay. So
in other words, the show is meant to be greater than the sum of its parts, or like it's come together, But like, and I guess because like you have people coming from the past, and you have people coming from an alien world, and
you have a bunch of Japanese creators coming together to make this amazing.
But yeah. They're also at each other's throats in the show context.
Yeah.
Like, no one's agreeing here. Everyone's fighting. And in my own thematic readings of this, I can try to validate that. So, I had to...
Wow! No fucking way, Brantley.
I had to take this to paper. So before we started, I just scribbled this out. Because like, normally I'll make notes on my phone. I couldn't do it this time because I had to like visualize what's not threading together properly. So I'm going to slowly walk you through my different categories and then identify where they're not working. So this is going to be boring. This is the exposition part of the episode, everyone. So feel free to skip ahead. Here we go. So my overall categories of like significant elements in the show are genetics, aliens, Eureka, sexual fear, and time travel.
Yes.
I did all caps time travel because I was getting frustrated. From that, okay, so I'm gonna describe like essentially the themes or like the common elements I saw within each of these categories. So I'd kind of analyze this backwards. In genetics, evolution always leads to humanoids. Where we see the monsters, we have humans, but then they re-evolve essentially they devolve down to animals in different forms, but then they re-evolve back up to humans when they start to become more advanced.
Well, science disagrees with you because they actually evolve into crabs in real life.
Oh, you're right. Well,
sorry,
I'll take the L on that one. There is the crab cycle we must always pay attention to. More on genetics. We aren't so different, you and I. A lot of these are going to be self-explanatory. We are one race, the human race.
Are these TV tropes? Kind
of, yeah. You could kind of think of it that way, yeah. And GBA have characteristics that are based on their DNA. That's not a TV trope one, but that's like a theme. I think that's supposed to have impact. Right. Again, I have to explain all these so I can start talking about how they conflict with each other or agree with each other. Let's talk aliens.
Got it.
This was an alien plot. Like there's nothing here that was not from alien conception. From the wish that brought the characters here, that was because of the alien process. The virus is alien made, so literally the entire plot is aliens. Meteora is not all bad. Eventually she stops fighting, falls down and dies. Meteor is evil though, and so is Dr. Yoshinaga. So those are things to consider. For Eureka, humans are the real monsters. That could be one way to read this. But on the opposite side, it's what's inside that counts. So it's not, what you are, it's who you are. Sexual fear. I am cribbing heavily from Crispin Freeman on this. Crispin Freeman's an English voice actor, but also like a mythology major and just generally like a smart dude. If you're interested in voice acting, he's got an entire podcast on it that he takes very seriously called Voice Acting Mastery. He's just like he has a good presentation about like mythology and how it represents human condition. And so one of the things he'll talk about is like the transfer of fluids as a scary monstrous concept because of fear of sexual transmissions and like STIs. And so like, when you're scared of, a zombie bite or like a vampire bite, then in a way that could be representative of like, the fear of infection upon sex, that fluids are being transferred to you and that harms you or diseases you. And I think that's a very cogent point from him, and so I'm applying it here. Also, the hedgehog's dilemma. The closer that you get to someone, the more chances there are that you'll be hurt. Additionally, like there's the perhaps like the hesitation to procreate in the world of the apocalypse, that we see with Yukinojo and Eureka. And so that's the sexual fear category. Time travel. The human condition repeats itself. History repeats itself. Specifically, humans will always make war. They always find a way. We are different, but can stand together. Idyllic return to nature. In the form of like the main surviving characters. I guess you could say in majority, being people with like coming from classical Japan or like a time in earlier history when technology was not where it is now. Fight for your right to survive, and fate transcends time and space with a subset into magic is real. Here's where practically none of this works, except maybe one thing. So, evolution always leads to humans. It doesn't really work because of it's what's inside that counts. So, those are in conflict with each other. It does kind of align with we are different but can stand together. That in the end we all become humans as we advance, seemingly. In this show's fiction, what's inside that counts, though, that that also conflicts. All of these conflict. I'm going to try to branch this. So, evolution always leads to humans conflicts with. I have to trace my own wires here. We are different, but can stand together, and that also conflicts up with the aliens being just outright evil. Like they have no decency to live, alongside humans. They're like, all right, time for all humans to die if we can do it. So Yoshinaga evil and Meteor evil basically invalidate that. They also invalidate it's what's inside that counts, except Meteora, who kind of says that maybe it's inside because she kind of stops fighting at one point.
She also tries to talk to them at one point.
Yes, she tries to talk to them more than once, and Yoshinaga does not defend her. So what a shitty husband he is, huh? Humans are the real monsters. Partially makes sense in like we are one race, the human race. Which also that's weird because there's like they're basically almost 100% Japanese aside from like the American soldiers. And that has its own sort of weird knock-on effects. Evolution always leads to humanoids. That does agree with the human condition repeats itself. However, although the human condition repeats itself, works in with fight to survive, it doesn't necessarily apply everywhere. Humans are the real monsters doesn't make sense because literally it was aliens. So that just is discounted entirely. That doesn't work. It doesn't matter if it was going to work with the Hedgehog's Dilemma. It doesn't matter if that was going to, apply in with, this is an alien plot that would also, lean towards Hedgehog's Dilemma, and just generally like that level of conflict, but they just don't work. The Gibiate having their DNA characteristics, that fights up directly with we are the human race, and we aren't so different, because literally they're just like, no, Gibiate makes you different and it's alien. And this is an alien plot, basically uproots almost everything. Transfer of fluids. This one does agree with fight for your right to survive in a weird, like, eugenics sense, I guess, but, like, also, that doesn't really make sense because the threat is aliens. So maybe it's treating, like, I don't know. I wrote down gay aliens, question mark? And that's really all I've got there, but also that kind of works. Like, I don't like those ideas, but they kind of thread together. It's safe to say that almost everything in this show fights itself. But strangely enough, that might actually be its one remaining strength. So the idyllic return to nature does not work with fate transcending time and space because magic is real. So this is not a return to nature as much as it is like a magical technology. Also doesn't work with the human condition repeating itself, because we are stepping away from that, and that's the only way that they actually get to solve the alien plot is to use technology. They use Kathleen's stun gun, and then it's a combination of efforts, right, to actually behead Yoshinaga and everything. By the way, we never learned Yoshinaga's alien name or what he looks like as an alien. We only see his Gibiate form, so we have to assume maybe that the aliens also look like humans, which would give credence to evolution always leads to humanoids, and we aren't so different, you and I. But again, it's aliens, so it physically doesn't actually work on the DNA level. Good God. We are different, but can stand together doesn't work with stuff we've mentioned before. Also doesn't work with aliens because they don't work with them. And fate transcends time and space almost works because it works with the human condition repeating itself. Like the history repeats itself thing works with that. That it's not a literal thing, but it's a metaphorical thing that these people are traveling here to essentially use their humane, non-technologically restricted powers to assist. And it also fits in with right to survive, but again, it gets invalidated. That being said, I think there's one theme that actually makes it through without a direct conflict from any of the other themes I've written here. And that is
what's that, Bradley? Fight
for your right to survive.
Okay.
So
did you just mathematical proof themes for a show about gecko spiders?
As far as I can tell, the theme of this show is fight for your right to survive. And that does work with Wa. We don't necessarily all come together. But if you want to survive and you want someone else to survive, you both have to fight.
Wild. What a fucking wild journey you just took me on. I did not talk for the past 5 minutes. I might have went, yeah. But you just explained a million things.
And none of them are actually important or helpful.
None of this podcast is important or helpful. It's just something we do to hang out and be friends.
I feel like I just detoxed.
Yeah, that was incredible.
I did shed a tear.
You have opened my eyes to how much you can look into things way deeper than it needs to be.
Oh, I feel it. I feel the cosmos.
And you know what? It's impressive and also very analytical, and I appreciate it. I don't have nearly as much to talk about themes. I was more excited about the wild production value of the show and how it got created. And I think that I saw the galaxies just align during your entire discussion of that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not gonna. If people skip to this part and you didn't hear Brantley just talk about themes for like 10 minutes, and you're like, man, I really want to hear someone who just knows about media and how to write things, just go back. Fucking listen to it. It was incredible. And I mean that in like a very genuine way. It was very good. But also wild.
Basically, the thematic analysis is like, wow, that's happening a lot and significant. Better write that down. And then you do that a lot. And then eventually you're like, well, it works. And then you go triangulate it and you make sure you reflect on it and you check it with other people and be like, hey, is this what you actually meant? And eventually you validate it that way. The information crystallizes is how they describe it.
That's a good way to put it.
Grant, when did you know that this show had taken a nosedive? Like, and I mean a nosedive as in like there's no pulling up. We're hitting the ground.
I remember when we first watched the show. I think it was during quarantine. We watched it with our good friend Beaver. And we saw the monsters, and I like, this show ain't gonna get better. In all honesty, the part that I thought was just the worst was the flashback sequences. I had a hard time paying attention to them. They are incredibly boring.
Yeah. I think that's where those flashback sequences are the sign that, like, we're either padding things or, like, we don't know how to filter down our own ideas to connect them together.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, we know that the characters need justification, but I don't know how to do that in an interesting way. Right.
It's bad.
It's
really
like,
bad.
I assume they didn't want to compromise. Like, we have to show them the time period. We have to go there. We have to travel to it to show Japan. But, like, then just do a show about that. It's too many things.
It's too many things, and the guy, Aoki Roku, whatever his name is, let me go look at it. He is, he's a disaster artist, in the same way that Tame Wiseau is. Mm-hmm. I know it's not like The Room in terms of like quality of enjoyment, but Ryo Aoki, he's a disaster artist. He has this giant scope for a thing. He has all this money to throw around. And it doesn't get done. Mm-hmm. So yeah, wild.
I don't know a single production team who could have made this work.
Nope, I don't think you could have gotten Ufotable, Keone, and Bones to work on this shit, and I don't think it would have worked.
Yeah.
You could have gotten the big names in anime, and nothing would happen.
Yeah. I think the point for me was the sound of water. I think that was like when I knew, like, fundamentally they're not communicating. Like, something's not going through. Because they have the water droplet in the opening, and so they say when you're transforming into a Gibiate, then you hear the sound of water. And you're like, oh, okay, so it's like almost like a water torture thing. Like, that could be something. There's something methodical and kind of like, I don't know, just like momentous about that. And it's kind of like a delicate thing. You could argue for it, right? But then they actually give you the real sound, and it's like a water nozzle stream. Like, you go to get water out of your fridge, and it goes,
oh yeah, dude.
You know,
this show's sound design's terrible.
That was where I lost it. I just basically collapsed backwards into my chair and like had a fit. All my stress evaporated in that moment. It was all gone. COVID didn't exist anymore. The election was not of any issue, I was released from my mortal body, and I just I got to experience what it was like to die.
You know what my favorite sound in that show was? The string breaking.
I forgot. Oh my god.
Yeah, the it's bad. All right, we are going long. Do you have any hypotheticals for me, Brantley?
I only have one left.
Okay.
Kathleen is recording you for her memoirs.
Okay.
She asks you, what's the best thing and the worst thing that's ever happened to you?
I say the best thing that's happened to me is Gibiate, and the worst thing that's happened to me is also Gibiate.
I bet the show creators are thinking the same thing. I think the best thing that's happened to me is when we were playing Danganronpa, and I was trying to voice the characters as we went along, and you said that I was nailing Celeste's accent.
It was so good.
And the voice was getting there.
Yeah, so good, dude.
It's like, man, that was validating.
Hell yeah, dude.
So thank you for that compliment. Cool. The worst thing in my life was probably when I was like a teenager, and I didn't want to make food for myself, and so I would just walk down to a local restaurant from where I live, and I would buy basically the same food every day for lunch. And eventually I ran out of money in my checking account. And so like I had to be embarrassed and realize like, yeah, my debit card's not working. So I give them the cash and then I walk away and I go home, or I go to the bank actually. And I get like a receipt back of, my account, and it's empty. And in that moment I had to realize that like basically all the work I'd been doing as a teenager, I had like depleted it. All of like my savings basically that, I had put some into checking, but like a significant amount of the money that I was making meant absolutely nothing on just buying food. And I had to realize A, how little I was being paid for my labor, and B, that this was going to be a constraint that would haunt me for the rest of my life.
What a wild radicalization you had.
I had a very important cry that day.
But yeah, I think one of the best things about me is finally finding out that I got accepted into a college that you went to, and like I was like, hell yeah, I'm gonna study, I'm gonna become successful, and that led to the worst thing, which was dealing with fucking advisors.
Yep. You were accepted in by bureaucracy, and then you realized I have to deal with them.
Hell fucking yes. All right, well, I think that's that for our episode on Gibiate, yeah. Probably our longest episode.
So if you stuck around this long, stick around for the next one. We're gonna check out The Journey of Elena, which is not done yet, but it's on its way. So go check out Majo no Tabi Tabi, or The Journey of Elena, or Wandering Witch, The Journey of Elena, depends on where you're looking. And you can see us in for the next time, and we'll talk about our impressions on that. Hopefully it'll be better than this.
Hell yeah.
You could use an uplift.
So thank you for listening. If you like the content, please like, subscribe, comment. Go to the Gibiate, the third anime trailer, that's what it's called, and like our comment that says cool.
Give a comment too.
Gibiate...
Show your support.
What? Yeah, get them to that 4 million views they said they had.
We're not gonna get the Kickstarter goals on the Blu-rays, so like this is the least you can do.
So thank you for listening to this, and we are not your dads.